Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision further down the road. Today, we'll be talking about an Amazon FBA business for sale, and I've got the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Tori. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you. And thanks for taking the time to join me for today's episode. Now, just before we dive more into your business, let me go a very brief summary of it just for our listeners. So today's listing is an Amazon FBA, eBay and e-commerce business created in March 2014 in the automotive niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $147,866, and it makes an average of $15,979 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are the Amazon Seller Central account with 115 SKUs, the domain and all of the site's contents and files, and eBay account. Please note that inventory isn't normally included in the listing price and further details can be provided to active buyers. You can head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and you can search for listing 53060 to learn more about the business. And if you want to start your due diligence, you can unlock the asset if you're interested in purchasing it. So, Tori, that's a very general overview about the business, but let's find out a bit about yourself. Can you share with me what your background is in building or running online businesses?
Sure. Actually, this is my first online business, but actually my third business. I got into this business just basically because I wanted the freedom of being able to be remote, be from home, and work on the internet, because that's where business is these days. Everybody's online, and that's where everybody shops these days. So that was my idea to get into this business for, I guess, it's almost 8 years ago now, and I've been learning as I go. I don't have a giant background in internet or web building or anything like that. I actually have a degree in finance. So business is kind of in my blood. That's what I do. But I've learned everything that I have done to this site and e-commerce business. I've just kind of learned on the fly. I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge, but somebody that has a better understanding of maybe SEO, building out some more Amazon site, maybe structuring just more products to add, things of that nature could really do well. And I think grow this business because it definitely has a big opportunity to grow, considering where I've grown it from in the last 8 years working by myself.
For sure, I hear you. You've followed the trail that many entrepreneurs in our space also followed as well. Just seeing that online is sort of the place to be when it comes to business opportunities. You were sharing just now that your background is in finance. So how did you come up with the idea to start this business in particular?
So I was in the market to find a business to either something that was already started or start my own. I had dabbled in reading about e-commerce businesses for a while, and I stumbled across this business that a person was selling. I checked it all out. The person that I actually bought this from in 2014, I call it more like a hobby he was doing, because the man, he had some decent things set up, but he only had an eBay store and a small website and didn't really put a whole lot of effort for it. He slept till 11 in the afternoon, placed a few orders, didn't do a whole lot. But I saw the opportunity in it, and I figured, well, I think I can make this work, and I think I could grow it. And shortly after I took it over, I was learning the ropes. I got a little under a year under my belt, maybe about 10, 11 months, and I brought Amazon on board. And since then, we have just skyrocketed the sales. I have done double and triple what the other person had ever done in his entire lifetime, and I do that in a year now by myself. So I just kind of took the right opportunity and ran with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Can you share with me briefly, how does this business primarily make money? Because I've noticed that there's a few different monetizations involved here.
So basically, I run a drop ship business. So I have a couple of really solid national suppliers, distributors set up where I will source my products from. So I list my products on Amazon, my eBay page, and the website. I never touch an item. All I do is order it. They ship it for me, bill me, and that's it. So basically we make money off the spread of what we sell it for on Amazon and what they ship it for us. I have a shipping deal in place, which subsidizes the shipping costs, which saves us quite a bit of money and makes it very competitive in this space.
Gotcha, makes sense. You mentioned just now, Tori, that when you first discovered this business from your friend or associate back then, that you saw the opportunity in terms of how you could scale it. Was it originally in the automotive niche, or did you end up pivoting and changing niche as you stuck with the business and grew it?
It was always in the automotive niche. So I just basically took what they were already doing and expanded a little bit. When I initially started, I was expanding to as many products as I could just to start to generate more sales and just to get going. And over the years, I have scaled it down a little bit to certain products that make more margin versus, smaller items that make small margins, just because I work by myself. So I can only handle so much of a load by myself, because I take care of the inventory, the accounting, the sales, customer service, everything that's involved in the business I do by myself. So that's why I brought it down to a smaller scale in terms of number of SKUs. Now, there's an infinite amount of SKUs that can be added, especially in my niche. I haven't even come close to adding not even half. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of different manufacturers' parts that you can add, especially in this same specific niche. And then it can also be expanded even farther to grow into different opportunities of the automotive area.
For sure, that makes sense. If the business is doing so well, why are you selling it at the moment in time then, instead of staying with it or growing it?
At the time, I feel like, one, I have another business that I have to take over next year. It's a family business, and I've kind of been deemed to take it over starting next year. I currently also do that now, which keeps me extremely between this business and that one. So I just don't have time anymore. And I feel with me by myself, I feel like I've maxed it out to where I can't really go any farther without having to hire people and do things of that nature, which I just don't really have the capability to do. And considering I have the new business that I need to take over, I can't do two anymore. It's too much work.
That sounds great. You've got another opportunity lined up there. I also hear you as well. I think it's a common thing amongst our circle where some sellers who almost stumbled into their business, as they were growing it and scaling it. I think many people feel like they reach a point where they can only take it so far, and it might be the right time to pass on the baton to someone who has the right skills to take it to the next level. I think therein lies a lot of growth opportunities, which we'll touch upon in just a moment.
Yeah, definitely a lot of growth opportunities here. And for the right person that understands the e-commerce segment, they really can grow this business very large. I mean, I'm very confident about that. And this business is constantly growing. The specific niche that we're in is doing extremely well right now. It's incredibly growth orientated, and it's going forward at a strong rate.
That sounds absolutely great. Let's dive into your experience then. Let's explore your experience as you're growing the business for a bit more context. Was there anything that you learned when you were building this business that you think you'd apply to future sites of businesses if you were ever to, run another online business again?
I guess if I was going to run into this type of business again, I mean, sure, there's probably, I could just say in my experience of what I would do to further better my business as it is now. I would feel that driving more traffic to the website and maybe learning more about SEO and trying to drive specific sales to a personal website, because obviously that saves quite a bit of costs over paying commissions to the likes of Amazon, eBay, etc., things like that, because it's quite a big commission. And if you drive those sales to your site, you make more money and you kind of have a much better opportunity there for growth. Also, you could probably try to expand into the FBA category, which a lot of people do. It's also possible. Amazon's been after me for quite a while to try to do that, but it's just not in the cards for me. Somebody else that may be more familiar with it could definitely expand into that nature as well and do pretty well with it, I think, also. And I know there's other marketplaces else to join as well, but at the end of the day, I think Amazon is obviously the place to be for e-commerce sales for just about anybody. I think most people are guilty of checking Amazon first when they try to find something.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm guilty as charged, for sure. I guess on the other side then, Tori, was there anything that you tried as you were trying to scale the business that wasn't really giving you the ROI that you were hoping for?
I don't think so. I mean, generally, if there's things that just didn't work, I just stopped them. Like, I mean, if I tried a couple of certain products that maybe didn't really sell that well, we just take them down. Or I used to work with more suppliers as well. And if I didn't like the way they were performing their tasks as far as drop shipping the items or cost or things of that nature, I would just stop using them, because I've also narrowed that to the two distributors that I use now, because I feel very comfortable with them. I know things don't change very bad, and I know I have a good working relationship with them. So if things are going to be shipped on time, things of that nature. But as far as trying other things, I never really went out and tried too many things. You know, I kind of regret not trying to do SEO and that kind of stuff and learn about it. But honestly, I just didn't have time. You know, trying to grow things and add products and across 3 different sites takes quite a bit of time, especially since I do everything myself. So some things just I never got to maximize.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's the thing with e-commerce businesses, right? There's just so many moving parts that I think it's just constantly demanding your attention in so many different ways. So there'll always be something that you could have done a bit extra in. But as you were growing the business, though, were there any tools or software that you found really helpful to help you build the business?
Tools or software? No. I mean, I created like an inventory system to keep track of the SKUs that I have with the feed that we get from the supplier, which has helped me tremendously. As far as software, I didn't really use any software. I know there's some softwares out there that can list a lot of products, and they will directly link up with our supplier software to like list things on Amazon, I believe. Oh, heck, I can't remember the name of that company. But I know they call me every couple of months. They want to add it, we can get you 50,000 SKUs up, use our software. Obviously, being by myself, I could never handle that kind of volume. I would fold under the pressure in a second working by myself with 50,000 SKUs. I'm busy enough with a few hundred. But I know there's definitely things out there that people can add, and they're probably already familiar with that I'm not. I've just always stayed small, for a reason.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Trying to keep this number of SKUs down just to make things manageable. So I think that's probably good advice right there. Let's talk about the marketing side of things then. Where does the majority of the traffic come from? Is it mainly paid advertising, or is there an organic component to it?
It's mostly organic. On Amazon, I do with some of the SKUs sponsored products, and that works well. That's another thing that needs to be a lot of attention and that I really don't pay a lot of attention to. It does well. I do have a low cost per click and all that kind of stuff, but I know there's, if you really understand it and download the reports and change the words and bids and all that kind of stuff, it can improve quite a bit, which is another area of improvement that I've used. We do also use on eBay. There is another feature similar to that. I forget what they call it, but you pay a certain percentage and it's supposed to move you up the rankings as well on some products. We use that as well. But most of the traffic comes from Amazon. I would say roughly 80% of everything comes through Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And what do you currently do in terms of marketing for the business then? What does that look like?
Word of mouth. We have a good relationship with our authorized dealers for the products that we sell. So if customers call in to the manufacturer, we get referrals from them sometimes. A lot of times, basically, it's people calling from the Amazon itself or people from somebody else. I'm very strongly orientated in customer service. I take very good care of my customers. We're extremely happy. I have 100% feedback across all forums, eBay, Amazon, 100%. So I make sure customer service is a strong point of my business.
Yeah, for sure. The business is only as strong as the market demand for it. So yeah, keeping the customers definitely sounds like a great thing to build on. Let me ask you then about your day to day. What does that look like for you to maintain the business?
So day to day, basically, I start my day with the first thing I do is check the inventory, see what's in stock, what's out of stock, because obviously you don't want to have anything listed that's out of stock and sell it, because then you run into a problem. So that's the first thing I do. Next thing I do is I'll place any of the orders that came in overnight. After that, just do some routine things, checking tracking, making sure everything's going smoothly with the carriers, UPS, things like that. Just a quick check. Handle any customer service related issues that might have came in the night before or ones that you just have outstanding. And then throughout the day, place orders and continue to handle any customer service issues that might come in, any questions that come in over the email, or people that call that might have a question or problem. And that's about it, really. And if I have time at certain points, depending on what it is, I'll try to do some research for new products to add or manipulate a little bit the sponsored products in Amazon just to see how those are going, maybe change some bids, maybe add some keywords, things of that nature. A lot of just routine stuff. And the main stuff that takes you busy for the day would be any customer service related issues or placing orders, but placing orders is very simple. And then generally before in the evening, I'll just finish everything up, add any tracking to Amazon that needs to be done or place any orders. It's fairly simple.
Yeah, that makes sense. You mentioned before, Tori, that this is a one-man band show, really. Like you're doing everything by yourself. For an interested buyer who wants to, acquire the business and step into the role and hit the ground running from day one, what would you say are some of the skills or requirements they should be aware of or brush up on if they're not familiar with Amazon FBM or the niche itself?
Well, I'll be honest with you, when the niche itself, I didn't have a clue when I took over. So honestly, I learned as I went. If a customer calls and has a question about a product, I'll do my best to answer the question. I'll Google the product at the same time, pull up the manual or whatever I can do to try to answer the question. And essentially the skills that you would need is to have a good customer relation attitude. So always being nice to the customer and taking care of them, addressing their problems. Everything from that point else is a matter of just placing orders, which is basically a cut and paste from Amazon or eBay into your order portal with the supplier. Keep track of the orders, keep track of the tracking. It's not that difficult. I guess the hardest part would be understanding the products and just learning as you go. You can brush up on some of it, read about it. A lot of it's not that difficult. Some people will call to ask questions about certain fitments and stuff like that, but most of the companies have fit guides, so you can easily look it up on the fit guide. Once the customer gives the information about their vehicle, you look it up, double check it, and if you don't know, you could always call the manufacturer and call the customer back. There's always ways to answer the questions. It's not that difficult. Like I said, I didn't know one thing. I didn't even know what these things were when I started. But now, obviously, I have a really good understanding of most of it, but I still learn things every day. Basically, I would say the most knowledge that you need is to have an outgoing, good personality with the customers, understand how to troubleshoot problems when they arise, which is also things that I will teach any prospective buyer how I do it and how it's easily folded into your day so you understand how to approach the problems when they appear. And basically just stay organized, keep your organization of your orders and everything, and you should do fine.
Yeah, it sounds like it's relatively straightforward to pick up. And plus, like you said, you'll be there on hand after the deal as well to give the buyer some support so that they can transition into the role.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will definitely stay on. No problem. I don't have no problem staying on. And even if the buyer has a question 2-3 months down the road, I have no problem. They want to call me and ask a question or shoot me an email. Hey, I got the customer and this is it, or I had this problem and how do we handle it? No problem. I don't mind. I'm a pretty easygoing person and willing to help.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Let's touch on some of the opportunities then for the potential buyer. If you did stay with a business, Tori, what are some of the ways that you would think about trying to grow it?
My first idea to grow it would be I would expand the niche that I already currently have. So let's say, for instance, I don't know, I'm going to use round numbers here, 15 to 20 manufacturers in the certain niche that I am, and I probably maybe list 5. I would expand them to include all of them, list more products in that niche to really develop a strong foothold in that niche with more products. I list currently the ones that I'm very familiar with, the ones that I know are popular, but there is quite a few more, and I'd be happy to share that list with the buyer and point them in the right direction because I feel like these are avenues that could grow it right away. And adding products. I mean, you can add so many that it would be very simple to grow it out. Like I said, by myself, it's difficult. I would say if somebody's trying to really grow it out, they're going to want to have somebody to help them, at least do the day-to-day things that keep me quite busy that might not, trackings and paperwork, orders, things of that nature. But there's ample opportunity to grow just in my certain niche. And then you can expand it out to more of the same field of this niche because there's a lot more to it than just my specific niche. There's also many more components that go into that field. And then even if they wanted to expand out farther than that, they could. We have readily available, our supplier is one of the largest distributors in the country, and you can expand it into other areas that aren't in this niche that would really benefit a potential buyer to growing the business.
Yeah, that sounds great. Definitely lots of avenues to explore there. What are some of the biggest risks that a buyer should be aware of if they wanted to acquire this business?
I would say the biggest risks, the biggest risk that I always is just outside competition. Everybody's got to be worried of Amazon. Let's be honest, they're trying to take over the world. For me, that's what my concern would be. But at the same time, there's a lot of manufacturers that simply won't let Amazon sell their product. So you're protected in a lot of areas as far as that, because once Amazon gets a hold of certain things, they start to sell it at lower prices than you can. And a lot of our products that we sell are MAP prices, which means minimum advertised pricing. So you can never sell it lower than that certain price. And that's typically done. The manufacturers have a pretty decent spread in there, a pretty different margin for you to make some money. So that helps you protect some of your profits. The other risks, I feel like this specific niche is growing, and I don't really see a whole lot of risk for demand of the product. Maybe just more competition for more people trying to get in the business. Pretty standard for just about anything that's doing well.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. Last few questions for me then, Tori. How much support are you offering buyers? You mentioned you're pretty flexible on that.
Yeah, we'll put it down to no problem. I'll be 30 days. Anything they need. After that, I'll be happy to, like I said, if they have a question here or there, or they might need a little insight on something, I have no problem. If somebody wants to call me 3-4 months down the road and say, I was just having this little bit of an issue, no problem. But 30 days for sure. And after that, if you still need something here or there, feel free to give me a call. No problem.
It's great to hear. Are you willing to commit to a non-compete?
Sure, no problem.
And are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out, seller financing?
I would prefer not to have any seller financing. I would prefer to have cash up front, but I am open to negotiating price and things. I guess if the right deal is presented to me, we can talk. But in the end, I would prefer cash up front. We close the deal, it should be done. But I'm open to speaking.
Okay, that's good to know. Last question from me then, Tori. If you put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why would you say that this is a business that's worth buying?
For me, this business is worth buying because a few reasons. One, it's in an extremely popular and growing niche, which obviously with sales, that's where you want to be. If you want something that's popular and growing, then that's a good avenue to go down. Two, it's completely remote. I've run this business from my house in different places of the United States and different places of the world at all times over the last 8 years. It's very remote. I take my backpack with me and my laptop, and if I need, it's like my traveling office. I can work anywhere, just need an internet connection. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to do what you want to do. So I just feel like it's got a lot of growth opportunity, and it gives you a lot of flexibility as a person to do what you'd like to do in life. Obviously there's work to do in any business. By no means that a set it and forget it type, going to work 5 hours a week and make $100,000. That's just not going to happen, obviously. But you put forth your effort, and I think this business has a lot to grow and a lot of benefits for a potential buyer.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Is there anything that you think I might have missed?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a bit. Maybe if you think there's anything you'd like to ask. I just feel this business in the right hands has a lot of opportunity. Somebody that understands e-commerce, that understands internet marketing, social media is another thing to do. I don't do that at all. Don't even have a personal account. So I feel like I've made it to the maximum I can, and I feel like it's ready to go to the next stage in somebody's capable hands, somebody that can really market it better than I can, maybe give it a social media presence, and just expand the new product, expand to different areas. And I think it can really grow, and I think somebody could do real well with it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Tori, thank you so much for joining me on today's interview. I hope that your business gets picked up by the right buyer in the not too distant future.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was very good to talk to you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 53060. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked the listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.